Welcome to your safe space, the podcast your partner, friends, parents, whoever thinks it's dirty. Don't have time to read books? Want to understand all the jokes in the TikToks? We got you, fam. We're the Spice Traders, and we deal in spicy books. I'm Katie, and I need it to make sense.
I'm Liz, and I'm hypercritical.
Before we get to today's episode, we want to encourage you to check out our Patreon, where we publish extra episodes every other week, as well as ad-free versions of our regular feed episodes. Also, any series we read past the first book, all that coverage is Patreon only, so think series like ACOTAR, Fourth Wing, Guild. Anyway, we really appreciate the support and encouragement to continue doing something we love and sharing it with you.
Thanks in advance for checking that out. As always, we start this episode with 3 things. First is a generic trigger warning. You can find specific triggers for this book in our show notes, so please check those out. We also use foul language and talk a lot about sex. If you have sensitivity to either of those things, our podcast probably isn't for you.
Second, our episodes talk about books, the whole book, nothing but the book, so help me goddess. If you don't want something spoiled, don't listen to this episode.
And finally, we acknowledge that a good book can hit you at the wrong time. Our views discussed in our episodes are our opinion, and we don't want to diminish the work or the talents of the authors in our community. That said, we have some notes. Girl, what are we talking about today?
Today we are talking about part 2 of The Unrequited by Saffron A. Kent. This is part 2 of 2, and so if you haven't read the book or listened to part 1, please do one of those things because you're going to be fused with corn. This part will be covering chapters 16 through the end of the book, and at the end of that, we'll do our ratings.
Fused with corn took me out. I was like, what does that mean? And then I got it. I got it.
Yeah, sorry. I'm in it today. So
I love that.
We're leaving
that
it
was
in.
great. And it was just like layers. I was like, that's funny. What does that mean? Oh, it's like confused. Oh, it's like corn fused. Oh, that's so clever.
I love a joke that keeps on giving.
Exactly.
Yeah. So anyway, we're just going to pick up right where we left off in part 1. And Layla can't sleep. Oh. So she calls Thomas's office in the middle of the night, not expecting him to pick up fully. But lo, he does pick up. Wouldn't you know it?
Wouldn't you know it?
And so she just like totally verbally vomits at him and tells him all about Caleb, that he's gay, that she never noticed. Thomas doesn't pity or soften for her. He just listens, and they fall into this like strange, like almost gentle back and forth.
Yeah. I mean, it's nicer than all of their other communications.
Yeah, it's still weird because then she goes on to say that, you know, they're soulmates, not the kind who end up together, she clarifies, the kind who understand each other. And then he tells her that she's right, and then immediately adds that he doesn't want to talk about it, which makes her laugh.
Her reactions are so fucking weird.
I know. But it's also weird because, like, okay, going back to our previous critique that Tommy and Layla are both narcissists, like, Thomas has just fully abandoned his child with the nanny, who also, by the way, has a life.
You would think so. He, like, when Hadley leaves in part 1, Thomas basically turns to the nanny and is like, can you stay for a few days? Like, I'll take you to your house to get your shit. Like, she's not even a live-in nanny. Like, he's asking her to now move in so he can sleep in his office for the next 4 weeks.
Yeah, because he needs space from family life, I guess.
You have space. Your wife left you.
Right. Well, and it's also, I think, just very hypocritical for him to be like, or for, not just him, but for the book in general, to villainize Hadley for like walking away from her family when he's essentially doing the same thing.
Yes, but no one calls him out on that. I'm so glad you said that, because like 2 or 3 times he says to Hadley, well, what about Nikki?
Right.
What about your child? But you could do it. Like, I forgot Nikki existed for the back half of this book until like the last 2 chapters.
When he shows up again when it's convenient.
And it's bad.
Meanwhile, this poor like 75-year-old lady is taking care of a newborn on her own.
Completely on her own. Like, I don't think Thomas is going home at all.
No, I don't think he is
living
either.
in his office.
It's gross.
It's so gross. He goes home in a little bit for that one place, but we'll get there.
We'll get there. So anyway, they stay on the phone until Layla falls asleep, and Thomas stays on too for some unfathomable reason.
I know, he asks her, like, can you just stay with me till I sleep? And he's like, okay. No.
You're not that kind of dude. Stop pretending that you are.
No.
Yeah, and it's also jarring because it's literally one of the only times in the book that he's not an outright asshole, and I don't understand why.
It's very confusing, and I understand why Layla's confused.
I know, because he keeps like giving her just enough to lead her on, and then he's like, no, like, I'm going to bite the hand that feeds me.
He's the perfect, like, hot and cold, so I don't really blame Layla for being kind of obsessed.
Yeah. So the other thing that happens in this conversation is that Thomas tells Layla that unrequited love is like a vestigial organ. It serves no function, and yet it can kill you. She asks him why he isn't home, and he says, because it's not home when she's not in it. Which, of course, Layla can relate to.
That's super romantic, except you have a child.
Right. And it's like, it's just another indication that he wants to use this to be a martyr rather than actually like dealing with it as a real person.
Yeah.
So then a few nights later, Layla shows up at Thomas's office naked under her coat.
Say the next couple things, because I have concerns.
Okay, so further, she opens her coat to show him her nakedness, but specifically, she got a tattoo. It's blue flames around her navel, you know, blue like his eyes, which is just so MPDG, I can't handle it.
I'm gonna lean in the next part because, like, we're gonna get into a sexy scene, and I couldn't enjoy it at all because of what I'm about to say. So she makes it very clear that, like, the flames are for him because of his eyes, and he's a fire. His eyes breathe. I don't know. It's silly. And he drops to his knees and licks her fresh tattoo.
Oh.
That's all I could think about. It was like, this tattoo is at most 2 days old. You cannot lick a new tattoo. Talk about infection. Like, you shouldn't even touch it. And I just revolted me. It was so gross. Like, we both have tattoos. We both have tattoos, and it's an open wound, and they're kind of like scabby in the first couple days, and I'm just like, this is not cute, this is not sexy. It's also just unhygienic.
Yeah, well, okay, it's unhygienic for her, but also I just don't understand why he's so fucking turned on by licking an open wound.
Yeah, because it's still bleeding and oozing plasma.
Ew. Yeah, no, I'm with you on that.
I could not get into this scene because that's literally my notes 3 different times say, ew, don't lick a new tattoo. I repeat, do not lick a new tattoo.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more. I think he goes on to eat her out in this scene, right?
Yeah. Which, like, I'm usually into that, but also I'm gonna go for this. I don't know why they're both turned on by him licking an open wound. You're gonna lick my open wound and then put your tongue where, like, I could also get a secondary infection? No.
Right. Yeah. No, I'm with you.
Get away from me.
Get away from me. So that happens. And boy, is it a scene. And afterwards, he buttons her back up and tells her to find someone else if she wants to be fucked, because they're not friends, they're nothing. And then he drives her home in silence. And she's devastated and spends the night moping in the bathtub. And I'm just like, what is happening?
She's got this, we haven't really mentioned it yet, but she's got this weird thing with her bed for some reason where, like, she can't sleep in her bed because it's too soft. So she, like, sleeps in the bathtub or on, like, park benches. Like, it's so weird for no reason.
Yeah, and it's never fully explained. And just, like,
no.
She says that she sleeps on park benches, but we don't see it in the book, and I don't believe that she does that. She would be dead. Frankly,
she would be dead. Also, she hates the colds. Like, why would she sleep outside?
Exactly.
Yeah. I do believe she sleeps in the bathtub like a freak, though.
Yeah, I couldn't. For a trust fund baby, she's got a lot of things going on.
Yeah.
So despite having told her off and dropped her off and said they're nothing and that she should find somebody else to get fucked, Tommy calls her a few nights later. It's the first time that he's reached out rather than the other way around. Back to the hot cold thing. So Layla, it's basically a booty call because Layla runs to the labyrinth where his office is in a frenzy and finds Thomas there looking like he's been vibrating out of his skin for a couple of days for like no reason. And we're given to understand that like he's both horny for her and also like doing the stoicism thing of like holding back his own feelings and also pining after Hadley all at once.
Okay.
Okay.
I miss my wife so much. Please let me fuck you. Is what he's doing.
I miss my wife, who I'm unrequitedly in love with, which like, okay, this isn't a believable situation where you're like actually unrequitedly in love with somebody and then you also want to fuck somebody else.
Yeah, it's not believable to me. There's a lot of reasons to cheat and like just lean into that.
Yeah.
But the like, I miss my wife, nah.
Because like he doesn't even get to a point, like at some point he's talking about, I think we were like in mutual respect with each other. Then don't call it unrequited love. Because it's not that.
It's not that. And he says that a few times, like it's mutual admiration, mutual respect. I'm like, we're in love at some point. It doesn't. I don't think you still love her.
I don't think she feels that way about you either. So
nope.
Doesn't feel like it's very mutual. Anyway, this is where we learn that for sure Tommy hasn't been going home and seeing his son. He's just left poor Nikki at the hands of Susan, who I'm sure is lovely, but needs help.
Yeah.
Hadley still hasn't come back from quote unquote Beth's, and Thomas has been sleeping in his office. Cool. He looks like it too, by the way.
Ew.
Yeah. So they fight about that for about 30 seconds before he hauls her close and says something to the effect of like, don't make promises you can't keep. You're going to regret this. And when you do, just remember you asked for it.
Which, ew.
Cool. Yeah. So gross.
It's so gross.
Because it's like, okay, just because you say I'm going to be an asshole doesn't give you permission to be so, right? Like, because you're already saying, I know this about myself and I'm doing nothing about it.
Exactly. And I can't get behind that.
Yeah. I mean, Layla's still an idiot, but he's just a jackass and always has been through this entire story.
Yeah, he hasn't hidden it.
So then they have sex for the first time, like for real, on the floor of his office. And like, despite the fact that these two suck, the scene's not bad, I gotta say.
The scene's pretty good. There were like at least, because they get it on a lot. There were maybe like 2 or 3 scenes that I was like,
okay.
High
five.
Like, this author does write good smut, which is another thing that I'm like, okay, I might read more by you. Especially give me some standalones, mix in some contemporary. It was pretty good. It was pretty hot.
Yeah, this was one-handed book club for me. So like,
yeah, for me too. And I was like, okay,
cool.
I'm here.
I'm here. But of course, immediately afterward, we can't have nice things because Layla clings to Tommy and tells him that Hadley will come back because she has to. Love is enough. But of course, she says it knowing...
That's so weird.
Well, she says it that she's knowing that she's not talking about Hadley at all. She tells us inwardly, quote, if I ever fell in love with Thomas Abrams, I'd never fall out of it. And I'm just like, ugh.
Yeah, I hated that. Also, I can't get behind sleeping with a married man and then being like, your wife will come back to you immediately after you both like come to fruition. Like,
it's so weird.
It's so weird.
Like, she has this vibe of like rooting for them. And I just don't understand that in like an extramarital affair setting.
No.
Well, and like she almost views it's almost like Layla views what she's doing with Tommy as in service to their relationship because he needs to blow off steam, and once that's done, he'll go back and Hadley will come home and they'll be in love with each other again. It's so bizarre.
Says that a couple times. She's like, I'm helping him. He needs this way more than I do. Like, it's her logic is bonkers.
Well, going back to what we were saying at the end of part 1, she just needs to be needed so desperately. that she's like just fabricating these fantasies and they don't make sense.
Nope, not at all.
So after the floodgates have given in, what follows is a stretch of their secret ongoing fling. Layla goes to the labyrinth at night to be with Tommy. They write, they smoke, they fight, banter, and have sex. He makes her laugh and she makes him laugh for real, which just feels unnecessary and out of character.
Yeah, and I think even the way she talks about making him laugh as if like, wow, I did that. But it feels like even to her it seems out of character. Like it's weird. It's weird for all of us that he's laughing.
Because like, let's be completely honest, Layla, you didn't fall in love, or you're not falling, you didn't like, you weren't attracted to, let's say, you weren't attracted to a laughing, lighthearted man. You were attracted to a brooding, melancholy, like asshole.
Yeah.
So let's just call a spade, shall we?
I mean, I think we should, but we can't. I want to part of this like sex montage because it's on your notes and I want to talk about it. There's one day that she goes to him like in the middle. I don't think. Yeah, it's before the rest of this. In the middle of the day, she goes to him and like gets on her knees, does a whole blowjob thing. And then his boss walks in. So she's like under the desk while his boss is there talking to him about something.
Fully his dick is in her mouth.
Fully, yeah, like so they separated, right? But she's under the desk. And then she's like staring his dick in the eye and being like, I wonder what he'll do if I just keep going. And so she does. I was like, that was a ballsy move, girl. I didn't hate that scene.
I didn't hate that scene either. It reminded me, this is going to be such a deep cut, but there is Hermione fanfic where something like that happens in the library. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yep, I do. I don't remember which fanfic it was, but that's what it made me think of too, and I really liked it.
I really liked it too. Yeah. Yeah, no notes. I mean, there is a lot of good smut in this like stretch of flingness.
Yeah. And we don't really see a lot of it, but it's implied with like the laughter and then like sitting and writing and all these things that they are kind of getting to know each other. Like we don't really see any of those conversations, but they're spending time together outside of just like fucking and fleeing, which is nice, I guess.
That is fair because we kind of alluded to in part one that like they have a happily ever after, but they don't really know each other. And like, so it's not that they don't know anything about each other. They do spend like kind of this formative time together. But it really feels increasingly like I don't even know how to say this. It feels very much like what I was saying about she's doing this as a service to him. That's the vibe that this whole thing has.
Yes.
Which is
what she keeps telling herself too. Which is so weird.
That's how she's justifying it to herself.
Yeah. But also just own it.
Own it.
You're already a stalker. Just own it.
Why is this any worse?
Right, that's what I'm saying. You got what you wanted. Enjoy it, I guess.
So when they're in class, she realizes that the look of dissatisfaction on his face is actually longing as he listens to students discuss their writing because she knows that he's given up his own poetry for Hadley, which is just another indication of him being a martyr because he didn't actually have to give up writing. He just had to put rails on it.
Yeah, and like be a family man. And I'm not a marriage counselor, but I can't stress enough that giving up the thing you're passionate about is not going to do any favors for your relationships.
Right.
Any relationships, friends, spouse, family.
Especially if it's in the context of like the thing that you're passionate about is the source of the problem in your marriage. Because one, that's a miscontextualization of the problem in this case. And two, it puts you in the middle between like your partner and like yourself. And that's not a good place to be.
Exactly. And you can't tell me that we don't see any of this, but like if I gave up the thing that I was most passionate about for my spouse, I'm going to resent my spouse.
Yeah, exactly. Because then it's not an us versus everybody else thing. It's a me versus you to try to fix this. Like it's a war of attrition.
Yeah. And then they're going to resent me. It just like, it doesn't. I don't know why he thought he and Hadley would be okay.
I
Like,
don't either.
Just
I really
the
don't.
narcissism of it all.
Well, and especially, I mean, we talked about this ad nauseum in part 1, but like, it's clear that he didn't actually have a conversation with her about what was bothering her and why she wanted a divorce. Because,
Nope.
God, dude, my guy, my brother in Christ, it's not your writing. It's the fact that you're not an engaged partner. And you giving up writing doesn't automatically mean that you're an engaged partner. And that's the thing that she's missing.
Yes. But if you would have one conversation, maybe you could get somewhere. But they never have a conversation. Even in the end of this book, they still don't talk about it.
Yeah, because she's saying all of these things and he doesn't ask a follow-up question. Anyway, we will get there when we get there. In the meantime, we got a lot to get through. So back to giving up his passion. One night when they're together, Layla pushes Tommy on this point. Like, why don't you write? Like, I can tell that it's eating you alive. But Tommy doesn't like women having opinions or pushing him. So he fucks her on his desks. On his desk, singular. He doesn't have multiple desks. Sorry. And he, like, quote unquote, forgets a condom, which he never does. And it scares Layla.
I have a couple things about this scene. One, I didn't like it. I don't like this punish fucking thing. Layla doesn't like it either, actually, which is nice. But the other thing, and this will come up in my ratings, which is why I'm going to say it here. Most of the scenes, all of the scenes so far, make sense logistically. The logistics don't make sense in this scene. Like, he bends her over the desk and he's like talking about her asshole. And there's like this weird like ass talk. I don't know. But he's like talking about seeing her butt. But then somehow can also like kiss her tits and make out with her. And like then they're like doing it face to face. But like he never actually turns her around. Like there's steps missing in this scene. And it just added a layer of I don't like this scene on top of it already being uncomfortable.
Yeah, I had that same thought because at some point he's like, it sounded like he bent her over the desk backwards. And I'm like, my hips don't work like that.
Exactly. And that's why I was really confused.
Yeah. So there's that.
Like he has her bent over, but then he like comes on her chest. I'm like,
when did that happen?
What?
Yeah, I mean, so the logistics were one thing, but then it was also like you mentioned that that Layla doesn't like it either. And that's, to me, it almost read like a rape scene because she wasn't into it.
She wasn't into it, not any of it. And she's like, it's a really uncomfortable scene because she's almost trying to like justify to herself, like still kind of grasping at the like, almost like he needs this, but like, I don't want this. And which in some ways kind of poetic justice coming off of like her raping Caleb. It's a nice is a terrible word, but like it's this interesting parallel.
It is an interesting
Even
parallel.
though she never calls it that, it does read like a rape scene.
It does, 100%.
And the aftermath reads like a rape scene. It's very strange.
Well, and it's like going back to her desperation to be needed, like there is definitely that underlying. I think that's why she's not outwardly saying no, is because she still sees it as like him, quote unquote, needing her.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is so gross.
Oh, it's so gross.
So
and then he's mean, which you'll get to.
Yeah, so then he's mean, and afterward he makes her say out loud that he's not her boyfriend and he won't hold her hand or take her to the movies, and she does. And then she walks out, and it's the first time that she's been the one to leave. And usually he'll like drive her home or whatever, but this time she's just like, I'm gonna fucking go. Thank you so much.
Yeah, she says something, I don't remember what it is, but it's kind of scathing on like the essence to me was like, you gotta get your shit together and like I'm done.
Yeah.
But she says it in like a more flowery way.
Yeah, and she doesn't really mean that she's done.
Yeah.
So this time, once she's gone for a little bit, he does end up chasing after her, but it's kind of an effort in futility because he makes it to her apartment building, realizes she doesn't know which apartment is hers, and so just ends up standing outside the building and like giving up and feeling embarrassed and going home.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because then we immediately get a chapter from his point of view and we learn that he's been thinking about Layla constantly. And he says things like his words have started to come back because of her. And like he sees it as like a blossoming of this passion, which we were just talking about. He gave up for Hadley. And he even goes so far as to say that when Hadley left, he felt a sense of relief, which should be just such the biggest red flag ever.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know why that already didn't point to the fact that maybe you guys shouldn't be together.
I know. But despite the fact that he's been thinking about Layla constantly, he says that he's never once asked Layla how she got to him safely at night, because she'll go to him at like midnight. And he never once thought about her like on those midnight streets and like how safe she was. And he feels shame for it, when really he's just a narcissist who's fully incapable of actually thinking or feeling genuinely for or about other people.
Yeah, because until Layla shows up at his door every night, I don't think he thinks about her.
She doesn't, she as a person with needs and feelings and like anything independent from him doesn't exist.
No. And there's a scene earlier, it doesn't matter when it is, but like she was stalking him at his house and like falls and scrapes her knees. And then he like, there's a blowjob scene, and then he like takes her inside the house, which was fucking wild. But then in this, he's like, she could fall. She's prone to slipping. And I'm like, what? What are you talking about?
She's not prone to slipping. You're just an asshole.
Exactly.
So another thing that happens this night is that another professor has actually caught Layla running out of the labyrinth, this time after hours, and she confronts Thomas when he's back at his office. It turns out that she knows everything, and she tells him to quit or she'll go to Jake, the dean, and also Thomas's friend. And she'll blow up his spot, essentially. Because she wants his job, she's way more qualified for it, and she's fucking right. And he can't fire back.
She is right.
Because everything she said is true.
This is another woman that's painted to be a villain who is definitely a victim.
Oh my God, such a victim of nepotism, of the fragile white male ego, of fucking just mischaracterization, internalized misogyny, all of those things. Like, she's fine.
She's fine. Even Layla paints her as a victim. Like, we get some illusion before this, it doesn't matter, where she's like, this woman is watching me. And she's not watching you, but she's noticing that every time you go into Thomas's office, you have to go to the bathroom right after. That's fucking weird, girl. And you're here like all hours of the night.
That's also fucking weird. The building is closed.
Yeah.
Thomas shouldn't be in here. That's also a breach of protocol. He should be not living in this fucking office.
Exactly.
Come on.
Get it together.
So we're still in the same night. A lot happens in this night. But the third thing that happens is that Hadley comes home. Tommy goes home to find her in Nikki's room, and she asks him to hold her. He does. And in Thomas's point of view, it's excruciating because, like, it's excruciating to read. It's also excruciating for him because he says he finally has everything that he wanted, and he simultaneously feels like something is ending, which is this thing with Layla. And his stomach churns and he can't breathe because he's thinking of Layla. And for me, I'm just like, it is so abundantly clear what is happening here, and you're just refusing to acknowledge it.
I didn't see what happened next is fucking crazy. I didn't see that, but like I definitely saw this as a goodbye from Hadley.
Yeah.
And Thomas's inner monologue is essentially like, oh, I have my family back. I don't have to tell her about Layla, but I also don't want to let Layla go. But Hadley's back and everything's going to be okay. And I'm like, no, dude, it's not.
It's super not.
It's bad. This is when things go downhill for you, my guy.
Yeah. Before things really start to go downhill, we do see a brief, what does feel like a false victory, because a few days later, Layla is at the local coffee shop. She's down because she hasn't seen Tommy, but Caleb is there to meet her. And so they run to each other like children, because they are. And they have a catch-up conversation that's about 2 years too late. And they share blame for what happened, forgive each other properly, I guess. It's very strange. Caleb goes on to offer her to like let Layla come and live with him in Colombia and like get some of her life back, I guess. But she realizes in the middle of the coffee shop in this conversation that she can't go because she's in love with Tommy. So what's really happening here is that she has another fantasy with a different man and no longer pines for what could be with Caleb in New York City.
Also, another thing that just made Caleb's storyline confusing to me, he went to Harvard and now he goes to Columbia because he like missed the city. Like, okay. Also, he has like a full-time job even though he hasn't graduated yet. That's just a thing I had to point out because I was like, what? But
because
yeah,
they're Nepo babies. I do know the answer to that one. They're Nepo babies and their parents are rich and own companies or whatever. So that's why he has a job. But like,
they can go wherever they want. But like and honestly, I think Layla's exactly where she wants to be, because now she truly is back in that unrequited relationship with Thomas.
right, exactly. It's where she thrived under Caleb. It's where she got all of the attention that she wanted, even though it was the wrong kind of attention. And she's just doing that again.
She doesn't know what the right kind of attention is.
No, she absolutely doesn't, which ultimately is a parent failure, but that's fine.
Oh, yeah. Well, her mom is a piece of work. Like, she's really kind of a non-character, but she's the worst.
Yeah, she did show up at some point to like specifically not invite her to that party that Caleb was originally talking about. That's literally the only time we see her.
Yeah, because Layla tends to like make bad choices and ruin parties, I guess. But maybe get your daughter help. I don't know.
Yeah, and don't just like chuck her in rehab. It's fine. Whatever.
It's fine.
So, of course, we mentioned things starting to unravel and go downhill. This is where that really kicks off. So that professor follows through with her threat and reports the affair. So Thomas tells Layla that they are officially over. He shows up at her door, undone, and tells her that she's the poem that he can never finish, that she's not Scarlet, she's not a slut, none of the ugly names she's called herself. But he says the word, it's over. She breaks down and he holds her, and then he kisses her forehead, which is way too tender, and then starts to walk away. But she like launches herself at him like a fucking feral koala down the hallway. And he promises her this is the last time. Sure, Jan. And they go back to her apartment for a quick goodbye fuck. I really didn't need any of this. Like the launching yourself at her, like it's literally she wraps around him like with arms and legs.
Yeah. I didn't need this either. Also because it felt weird coming off of how the last scene ended, but like now he's all tender, like it's a goodbye, and she's like, oh my God, it's so romantic. It's like our last night. I'm like,
no. Because he raped you in his office the other day, so.
Yeah, and was like really mean to you.
Right, like
but now his wife is back, so sorry.
That hasn't been repaired, and frankly, is never.
No.
So
is this? It doesn't really matter, but I did want to bring it up before the next thing happens. Like some point in here, Layla goes to Thomas's house just to talk to Nikki. Like, yeah, Thomas is out of town. And he goes to basically like tell Nikki that like she's not going to sleep with his dad anymore.
Yep.
And the nanny is there. And this is the part I wanted to point out. The nanny is there and like listens to this whole conversation and then like gives Layla a book with this weird twinkle in her eye.
Yeah, well, that's because Hadley's there and like sees this random student talking to her child. And so the nanny like basically covers for her and is like, here's that book that your professor wanted to give you, which is why you showed up here at all.
Bye.
Leave.
It's such a weird fucking scene.
Yeah, it's so weird. And like, I don't understand Susan's motivations at all.
That's the thing. Like, why are you even covering for her, Susan? And like, there's some line about like Susan's got this like glimmer in her eye, like she wants Layla and Thomas to be together, and like that. It's very subtle, but then we never see Susan again. But we see her once. But like, I don't know. I was just like, what is happening here? Also, this comes back to the Nikki being a friend thing. He's a baby. Why are you apologizing to a baby?
Yeah, I mean, this is such Manic Pixie Dream Girl energy, right? Because like she goes specifically to do this thing with Nikki, which is like, frankly, unnecessary. Like, I'm all for treating kids like adults, like treat them like people. I mean, don't treat them like adults. You know what I mean? You treat them like people. They're not things, right?
Yeah.
But like, it's so inappropriate for her to want to do this. Like,
exactly.
I can't imagine.
It's just so that like Hadley sees her. It's just a plot device, but it's so fucking weird.
It's so weird. Like if somebody who had met my daughter twice shows up at my house to have a conversation with my daughter,
when
I would
I'm
be
not
like,
home,
bye, goodbye.
Yeah.
Restraining order immediately.
Because she goes intentionally when she knows Thomas isn't going to be there.
Right.
Like,
she doesn't
it's
want to
so
see
creepy.
Him. It's so creepy.
Yeah. Because he raped you. Okay, it's fine.
And said goodbye. Both things that are bad. Like, oh my God.
Bye.
It's fine. Anyway, so the morning after this like goodbye fuck, things rapidly deteriorate because Layla wakes up and finds out from Emma, her friend from the class and also now her roommate that we totally glossed over, that Hadley is in the hospital and so class is canceled. It turns out that Hadley took a bunch of sleeping pills, and when she did that, Nikki almost choked to death on a button from his stuffed elephant toy and is now in the NICU. So, like, I have so many questions about this. Where was Susan? Not that it's Susan's responsibility at all, but also, why did a baby toy have a fucking button on it?
I had that button question. We do get a one-line fixer from Susan when Layla goes to the hospital, and Susan's like, I didn't get enough formula. I had to run out and get it. The store didn't have it, so I was gone longer than I didn't want to leave him alone with Hadley, which, like, red flag.
Right.
Then
but
we
bring
get
him
this,
with
like,
you.
one-line fixer. Bring him with you. That's the thing. And also, if you are with another adult in the house and you don't feel like you can leave an infant alone with them, don't.
Don't do that. Also, if that person is that infant's mother, call a doctor.
Yeah, or like Child Protective Services.
Something.
Not that it's Hadley's fault, but like you need to do something.
Right. You need to act.
But also the buttons, like, because we've seen this elephant toy a few times, and we've already been told Nikki's personality is to chew on things because he's a baby. Why would the toy have buttons on it that can be removed?
Cut them off. Cut them off.
Yeah. Like when I was making the Jacalepi for your daughter, those buttons are safety buttons. Like they're like melted together in the back. Like unless the yarn comes apart, like they're not coming out.
No, they're on there. They're stuck.
Yeah. I was like, I tested it.
Double checked. But anyway, Layla in peak Manic Pixie Dream Girl form runs to the hospital in complete panic.
He needs me. No, he doesn't.
He needs me. She finds Thomas in the stairwell and tells him everything's going to be okay and that she fell in love with him and it's all going to be okay. And he tells her that his family is dying because she loves him, which is the most brutal thing he says to her in the whole book and completely unfair.
It's so unfair and so brutal. And I don't know how I don't know how either of them could move past that one sentence.
I don't either, because that's horrifying. And Layla has nothing to do with, like, it just goes back to Thomas being incapable of understanding that other people act for reasons that have nothing to do with him and what he's doing.
Yeah, and nothing to do with Layla either, because, like, here he's fully putting the blame on her. And, like, she's blaming herself too, which I kind of get why she's blaming herself. Not the Nikki thing, but the Hadley thing. Like, if I showed up at my married lover's home and then the next day his wife attempts suicide, I would also probably think that might have something to do with me. But you can't put all of that on her. Like, he needs to own the fact that it really has nothing to do with her at all.
Yeah, well, I mean, at this point, I don't think it had just come out that he had been fucking around with one of his students and they didn't know who it was. So there's no reason for Hadley to understand who Layla was at the point at which he showed up at their house. And so, like, really, like, him, he's blaming her when he was the one that chose to put his dick into somebody that wasn't his wife.
Yep. And not get your wife help, I don't know, 7 months ago when she
needed it,
was first showing signs of postpartum depression, and you shouldn't leave your child alone with her because you, like, there's so many things that, like, could have stopped this.
Right.
First and foremost, getting a divorce 2 years ago.
Look, when she first asked, that's, yeah.
Yeah.
Look. So they have this conversation, this back and forth. He turns to leave. She grabs his shirt to stop him, but he jerks away and her boot slips and she falls down the stairs and, like, knocks herself out cold.
Okay. Honestly, that's what happens. It reads like he shoves her down the stairs.
It reads like he shoves her down the stairs. It reads like he maybe didn't realize that the stairs were there, but he definitely pushed her. That's how it reads.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like, he doesn't, because the thing is that, like, he doesn't jerk away. He jerks, like, into her.
Yeah.
Like if I'm grabbing onto your sleeve and you pull away from me, I'm not going to fall backwards.
No.
That's just, he shoves her down the stairs. I stand by that.
Yeah, I stand by that too, because he's a narcissist and he wanted to kill her. Anyway, Layla wakes up in the hospital now. Caleb is there. Nikki made it through. Hadley is okay. Great. Caleb tells her that Thomas came by while she was unconscious, punched Caleb in the face on behalf of what he did 2 years ago, and then left her a message that it wasn't her fault. But Layla doesn't believe it because she cannot not hate herself.
I think the second most brutal thing that Thomas does this whole book is punching Caleb in the face.
Like, who is he? He's okay. Just I cannot emphasis. He is a grown ass man. He is like in his early 40s, and Caleb is barely 20,
maybe
like soaking wet. Like you. For me, that is not acting with integrity. Like, not that anybody, that's not the bar in this story, but like, who the fuck are you to do that? You raped her. You said that your family is falling apart because of her, and then you're gonna punch him in the face and then leave her a message that it's not her fault. Who the fuck?
Also, I'm sorry. Why are you even really punching Caleb? He didn't react in the best way, but like, he's a victim too. You're punching him for what? Being gay? Like, I don't understand.
She raped him.
Exactly, and he fled the state as he should.
Because he's a victim. He was fleeing his abuser.
And you're gonna punch him in the face when you shoved your girlfriend down the stairs. Caleb did nothing wrong here.
Oh my God. I just can't.
It's like, this man.
So 4 months have passed and we get a Tommy point of view, and he's in Brooklyn now. He has Nikki. He's writing again, a collection about his son. Yay. Hadley asks for a divorce.
Again.
And when he asks about Nikki, he's like, what about your son? And she's like, well, he has you and Layla. And I'm like, what? Excuse me, what?
We all had a collective, excuse me, what?
Excuse me, what? Okay, like, I think Hadley is the victim in this story, but I don't condone this reaction at all.
No, this is where, like, Hadley kind of lost me. And, okay, so I don't know how I'd feel about this with a real life person, but this is a fictional person, so I'm going to do it. I don't blame Hadley for having postpartum depression. I don't blame her for now having to contend with having a child that she was forced to have. I do kind of blame her for just like freely abandoning said child and being like, your girlfriend can do it.
Yeah, well, especially when I mean, in that situation, I just can't objectively see why she thinks that's a good choice for her son. Like,
exactly.
I would find something else to do. Like, I would do a shared custody thing. Like, if her parents are still alive, like, I would ask them for help. I would ask fucking Susan for help when Nikki, because like, if you are saying I can't handle a child by myself and I don't want to be in this relationship, totally understand that. Like, that is valid. I would fall into that category of people, right?
Yeah.
But I would not just willingly give my son to my narcissistic soon-to-be ex and his like hotsy-totsy, like not fully formed frontal cortex 20-year-old girlfriend with purple fucking eyes.
Also, to be clear, they're not even together. Like, you're also essentially giving your child to this girl that you don't know where she is. You know nothing about her. She's not even like dating your soon-to-be ex. Like, she's just in the wind as far as you know.
Well,
I mean, we know they like have connected. Yeah.
Hadley did go to see her, so she knows where Layla is. But to your point, Layla and what's-his-face, Thomas, are not together.
No. So like, how can he be like, she'll be better for him than me?
What?
That's crazy. I don't think so. She gives him hats and thinks those are appropriate baby toys.
Also, just because somebody has like, okay, let's just say that they have bonded. Let's just say that they are really good together. That doesn't mean that she wants to be a parent or should be.
No, or should have that thrust upon her, which like Thomas kind of gets to, but let's be real, he doesn't actually care.
No.
His inner monologue is like, that's not fair to her. What if she resents him? And I'm like, those are good questions because she's also kind of a child herself. That's a lot to ask for a really young person in a brand new relationship.
Yes, but also those are questions that you should have asked when your wife told you that she was pregnant and she didn't want to keep it.
I don't understand the logic behind thinking that someone who doesn't want to have a child will just like be okay with it someday.
You'll grow into it.
And like that happens for lots of people, but like especially in an unhappy marriage. Like I could see if you're happily married and you're like for example, we don't really want kids. If I happen to get pregnant, like I could probably grow into it. I wouldn't resent my child. Hadley was in an unhappy marriage and didn't want a child.
Yeah. That's not just suddenly going to turn the ship around, okay?
No, especially when the marriage continues to be unhappy and she has untreated depression.
Right. Yeah, and so like this conversation just like really positions Hadley as like as though she's gonna yeet herself out of her son's life.
And then she kind of does. We get a flash forward to the future, and like Tom's is like, someday I'll tell him about his mother and maybe she'll come around.
Oh
like,
my God.
So she's just gone.
Okay, girl.
All right. That's you. I stand by. No one should have forced you to have a child, but like you did make that choice and you do have responsibility for it.
Yeah. I mean, coercive control, blah, blah. I just don't think that's what's happening here. So
No.
I do judge this fictional character for that choice a little bit.
Yeah,
Anyway.
like a lot. Anyway,
So-
it was a long diatribe that I had to go down.
Yeah, I'm with you. So like I said, Hadley tells what's his face, Thomas, that she went to find Layla and like talk to her. And she tells him that Layla blames herself for what happened. And she tells Thomas that he needs to stop punishing himself and go fix it. It's a really generous scene, minus the child abandonment from Hadley, who is genuinely the victim in this entire story.
It's incredibly generous, and it's honestly kind of wild to me that she's so chill.
I mean, you could read this a totally different way. Like maybe there was coercive control and now Layla is his next victim. And so Hadley sees this as her only way out. And she knows that she can't take Nikki because that would not enable her to escape the coercive. There we go. Coercive control situation, abusive relationship that she's been in for years. And now Layla is not reading the room and she's just going to be the next Hadley, forced into a lifetime of sadness.
That was so well said.
Like it could get really dark in here.
I kind of like in the back of my mind did read it like that, where Hadley's like, "It's my ticket to freedom, girl. You can have him.
Bye.
Deuces. Good luck, Nikki."
Yeah. Yikes.
Yeah, big
Anyway,
yikes.
we go back to Layla, who meanwhile is in New York City, where she's always wanted to be. She's been to a rehab center, which is now in actual therapy with a real therapist, and is taking community college classes, writing a story. And saying you're taking community college classes in New York City is like not the same thing as saying you're taking community college classes in like Titusville.
Right. Like community college in New York City is
A pretty good fucking college.
yeah.
So we find out that she told everyone at the school in Connecticut that she was the one who pursued Thomas, that it was all her, and the case was dropped. But by that point, Thomas had already split. So all harm and all foul, I guess.
Yeah.
She tells us that she misses Nikki every single day, which is so fucking weird because she didn't fucking know him.
I didn't understand that either. And like, okay, maybe this is because I am not a mom, but like I can only equate this to like my relationship with your child, because I do miss Pip, but not in like, I don't think of her every single day. I want to see her grow up, but like, and I hope you don't take offense to this, she's not like a person to me yet because I've spent so little time with her. And she's way more of a person to me than Nikki would be, because Nikki's like 8 months old.
Totally. Well, and you've
I've
only
seen
known her
lots
when
of
she
videos
was
of Pip. Yeah.
right. You've only known her when she's like been maybe barely talking. Like,
yeah. So it's weird. Like, I'm excited to see her as she grows, and like as she becomes more of a human in my life, I will miss her. But it's the same as me being like, oh, I really miss Pippa. Like, I feel like that's a strange thing to say. I love her, but like, I don't know her enough to miss her.
it's just an odd thing to say for somebody who's not your kid.
That's the thing. It's very strange. And they've had like 3 interactions also. Like, they don't. You shouldn't. I just don't think you should miss other people's children that you've only met thrice.
This really felt to me like she imprinted on this fucking kid.
Yes. She's a duckling.
Yeah.
Yes, very that.
So anyway, Layla's living her best life, I guess. And then one day after class, Thomas is outside her school, and he's there because Hadley went the day before. They do this circular, very awkward and painful dance on the sidewalk, conversationally. And Layla tells us that Thomas has lost weight, looks like he hasn't lived. And so she kind of like pities him a little bit. And that gave this conversation a weird vibe, because it's almost like she was having it because he looked so terrible.
Yeah, the power exchange in this scene compared to all the rest is really awkward, because like Thomas is really uncomfortable. He's like rocking back and forth on his toes like a 4-year-old. he's like sheepish and bashful, and Layla's kind of like, sup, dude, I hate poetry.
Yeah. How's your son, I guess?
Yeah. How's your marriage? Is your wife still alive? I saw her yesterday, but still.
It really feels... It feels like a step back because it feels like she's in a place where she actually was doing the work, and like this is like dragging her back to an unhealthy place.
Yeah, because she is doing the work, and she's like actually standing up for herself in a lot of ways. She's living with Caleb, which I think is still kind of a problem.
Yeah, I think that's a problem. But
like there's growth happening.
Yeah, but then she notices that his wedding ring is gone. And so he tells her that the divorce is happening this time and it's not because of her, that he was holding on to Hadley too tight and like this vision of a relationship that he thought that they should have. Layla, tells him that she's angry that he let her carry the weight of thinking that she ruined his fucking life for 4 months without saying a word, which is just like, again, parallel with how Caleb treated her.
But she doesn't see that parallel, which I think is a miss.
I think it is too. But he tells her that he's sorry, and it's just that with her, everything feels like the first time. Like he's never even taken a breath before her, and so he tells her he knows that he fucked up, but he'll wait until she's ready to forgive him, even if that never actually happens.
Okay.
Fine. And he does wait. We kind of get this like drive-by of like months of showing up to her school, late night calls, gradually reconstructing like a relationship somewhat. He picks her up from class even when she says she doesn't need it. And she keeps him at arm's length until one night when she finishes a novel that she's writing and knocks on his door. Turns out that the story that she's been writing is about them. She started it as a part of therapy and realized that she liked writing and turned it into a novel called The Rule Breaker. And it starts...
I think it should have been called The Unrequited.
I know. It should have done the thing.
Because we read that book. It should have done the thing.
We did what it said on the title.
Yeah. Nope.
So it starts on the...
It's fine. I'm just mad about it.
I mean, yeah. So it starts on the bench with the tree the night that she followed him alone in the dark. It's the book that we read. It's just this like circular reference.
But they didn't name it the same thing.
No, it's The Rule Breaker for some reason. It should have been The Fire Breather if it wasn't Unrequited. Whatever.
Yeah.
I digress. Thomas is stunned. They end up against the wall, and she tells him she's tired of waiting. That she told Nikki all about it. So weird.
She says that because like they've been hanging out. So like she'll go into Nikki's room and like talk to him, and like I think this is from Thomas's perspective. I don't really remember it. It doesn't really matter. But that like she'll always say goodnight to Nikki even on the phone. And so like Nikki's her only friend. Emma and Dylan don't exist anymore.
Bye. Anyway, she says that she loves him and he says it back. And she tells him she's always wondered what it would feel like when somebody said it back. Oh my God. It's so dark in here.
I know.
Anyway, the final chapter is from Thomas's point of view, and it's about bravery and his father and how he's finally figured out that bravery isn't fearlessness. It's doing the right thing anyway. And he promises himself he'll always love his violet-eyed girl. This felt very like Roman Empire to me, and I wasn't here for it.
Yeah, I didn't need this like final chapter. It could have just ended with them having their happily ever after.
It was sweeter that way. Like I really think it's kind of gross and like problematic when dudes are super obsessed with like their dads and how their dads fucked up and like can't see past that and end up repeating history. Like, okay, like you're your own person. It's okay to not care.
And also, especially because like we don't know a lot about his relationship with his dad, but it sounds like at most Thomas didn't like him because he was unpublished. Like that's the worst thing his dad did was not get published.
What a failure.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not like he was abusive to you. It's not like he judged you. Like, I think he was just a guy.
He was unpublished. He also sounded sad. So like there was that.
Because his wife died in childbirth. Like,
and it's okay to be sad about that.
Yeah, let him be sad about that. Listen, narcissist.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's where the book ends. Let's get into our ratings.
Yeah. our ratings are actually pretty surprising to me.
A little surprising. And I think it helps that we talked it through a little bit.
Yeah, I have less animosity toward it. And I will say, so not the last like weird recap, the final chapter, but the last chapter did kind of get me in the heart a little bit. Like I was like, oh, this is pretty cute actually.
Yeah,
these psychopaths
I definitely
found each other.
Yeah, these psychopaths found each other and can't hurt other people because they're with each other, which is the best possible
Yeah, it's
outcome.
the best. And like I think Nikki's gonna probably need to go to therapy, but it'll
Lots
be
of
okay.
therapy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely my ratings are higher than they would have been if I had just rated it before we like recorded 2 episodes.
Me too.
So let's get into why
Also,
that is.
I want it really quick. I want to read a bonus chapter of the wedding or when Caleb and Thomas inevitably have to meet again because Caleb is her only friend.
Right.
And they have to have this weird like, hey,
Eskimo buddies.
Eskimo buddies, like, I'm sorry I punched you in the face for just being gay, I guess, after I raped your best friend. And now we're going to get married. So can we just be cool?
I promise I'm not homophobic. You hurt my girl or whatever.
I guess, even though she hurt you, really.
Yeah.
You did nothing but exist.
Anyway, how do we rate the spice?
We both gave it a 3. The spice is actually pretty good. There's some really nice scenes in it. There's just a couple things that are weird. Like, again, please don't lick a fresh tattoo. And I don't like the infantilization of, like, referring to your tummy. Or, like, teaching her how to be a grown-up, quote-unquote. That's all
For
pretty
sex,
gross.
Yeah.
Yeah, but all of the other scenes are honestly pretty nice. They're detailed. They have obviously all of the, well, it's toxic communication, but the communication nonetheless. We get a lot of them for a relatively short book. They're not bad. They're pretty good.
Yeah.
I'd read more by the author.
Yeah, I honestly would have rated it a 4 if it wasn't for the problematic things that you called out. So no notes.
In that one scene that's kind of rapey.
Yeah, and the one scene that with the logistics, but that's fine.
Yeah, but everything else, like, honestly, I'm here for it.
Yeah. That brings us to writing style. We rated this as a 4. I think there were some minor formatting things that you wanted to call out.
Yeah, so, and this is more of like a pet peeve than anything in particular, but I don't like the block text. Like, there's never any indentations. It's just like, just block text, and it bugs me personally. There were also a couple chapters where it was like hard to tell who was speaking, and I think it was because of the block text, like the indents were where they should be. So like Layla and Thomas would be talking, but like I wasn't sure who was really saying what, and it would be a little confusing at times. One thing I wanted to point out here, which I mentioned it earlier, but there's some interesting pacing of information reveals. So for example, it's earlier in part 1, but when Thomas and Hadley come home from a party, he says he like hears Nikki crying and goes into the room. And my immediate thought was like, you just left your infant son home alone. And then Susan is revealed to be there. But like there was no mention of Susan before that.
Yeah.
So like those things are kind of strange, but I also think they're interesting as far as like there was nothing wrong about it. It just, I literally wrote in my notes, like, you left your infant son alone. And I was like, oh, there's a nanny.
Yeah.
What a weird way to pace that.
Yeah. I would say that was probably, that could have been done differently, but there were some interesting writing style choices. Like you had called out in part 1, kind of the unreliable narrator thing of like the reveal that you registered for the class. I do like that. I think that was well done.
Yeah. It was really well done. I liked that a lot.
But I think that the language and the style of the writing was like very approachable. You know, there wasn't, I mean, besides the formatting thing, there wasn't like any major typos or like missed words or anything like that we usually call out. And the characters were consistent, despite the fact that they both sucked. So
Yep.
We'll get into quality of the storytelling. How do we rate that?
We both also gave that a 4. I mean, this story in a lot of ways wasn't really for us, I think, because the characters are just really toxic, but they also make for really human characters. And the story, the pacing makes sense. The characters make crazy choices, but like for who they are, it makes sense. There's no plot holes. There's things that I wouldn't do. But again, for who we're told these people are, they are incredibly logical in their illogic.
Yep.
And honestly, like, I liked how it was written. I didn't, like, I would read more by this author for sure.
Yeah, it's such a weird feeling because, like, I
I
don't
know, 'cause I
like
didn't really like it.
I don't like this book, but it was a good book? Question mark?
Yeah, it's
Like,
so weird. I don't
such-
think we've had something like this before.
Yeah, like it's so unlikable, but like I just so I mean that brings us to like, do we recommend it? Yes? Question mark? I guess I would recommend it with like a lot of asterisks. Like
Yeah.
it just
Like, do you want an interesting romance with really unlikable characters?
Right.
That's well written and the smut's pretty good. I got the book for you.
I got the book for you. Yeah, I mean it was if you had said like, oh, this is a book of narcissists that fall in love and they like do some pretty terrible things in between, do you want to read it? I would probably say no.
Yeah.
But it was, I don't know, it was stimulating to read, I think is the way that I would phrase it.
You know what it is that I just thought about? It's kind of the equivalent of the dark romances, but in a really realistic way. Like, there's no, like, knife or gunplay or kidnapping. But,
Right.
like, there's some obsession. There's some stalking. They're pretty toxic people.
Yeah.
But, like, this is all super believable.
Yeah, it's super, could happen tomorrow to most people.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very interesting.
Yeah, it's strange. So I mean, those are our ratings. I feel okay about it, I think.
Yeah, and it does make me rethink, because I started really, really spicy in part one with my mean paraphrasing of this, and I walked some of that back. I still stand by the fact that there were things like the postpartum depression and like Caleb's storyline that could have been handled a lot better. Also, we never talked about Emma and Dylan, but there's this undercurrent, I mean, hopefully you guys read the book, but if you want to, I don't care. Of this like kind of other side of Unrequited where like maybe sometimes being friends is the better option. Like just because
Yeah.
you love each other doesn't mean like you should be together. Which I think is really interesting. So there's a lot of really powerful things in here. I just think some of it wasn't handled super great, but they're all stories that should be told.
Yeah.
Very weird.
But yeah, and so we were talking about in part one that it would be interesting to interview this author and ask if that was an intentional choice, because it is a congruent choice with who the characters are, that those things weren't handled appropriately. And maybe the message is that like that happens sometimes and like
And
this
like
is
humans are messy.
humans are messy, and this is a realistic depiction of like how sometimes that happens. Like sometimes you are scared to come out to your family, and so it ends up in this kind of messy relationship that sometimes is worth coming back to. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's an unanswered question, and that's what I think makes this book surprisingly interesting intellectual conversation.
Yeah, I'm really surprised by it.
Me too.
Such weird feelings about it.
So strange. But those are our thoughts. Got 2 full hours out of this book. So
Yeah, we did.
those are our thoughts on The Unrequited by Saffron A. Kent. Thank you, as always, for joining us on this journey. What did you think? You can let us know in the socials. You can find us on TikTok, YouTube, and Goodreads at Spice Traders Pod. And if you like our podcast and want more, consider joining our Patreon, where we release Patreon-exclusive episodes on our off weeks. And if you really, really like us, drop us a review wherever you listen. Until next time, we'll see ya. Bye.
Bye.